Onward is a well-regarded first-person military shooter that has made its way to Quest from Steam, no doubt braving barbed wire, killer dogs and minefields on the way over. Will it clear the tangos out from the LZ and chop her out to safety before cracking a cold beer at HQ? Or will it forget how long to cook a grenade for, blow its own arm off, and bleed out in the sand? Before I get too far into enemy territory, a quick briefing. I won't be describing in detail how a multiplayer military FPS works, or exhaustively describing all the modes the game contains in this review. I'm guessing that if you're here you'll know a lot of this already. In terms of its feature set, the Quest version matches its PC counterpart, and the truth is out there. What I am here to ascertain for you is if this game is worth buying on the Quest, and I will tell you quite categorically that, as it stands at the moment, it absolutely is not. Onward positions itself as a serious FPS based on the USA military. It's so sure of its own place in the universe that it doesn't feel the need to explain its setting. You know the drill. It's soldiers in camo versus Russian terrorists in balaclavas. Hack the shit out of their systems and kill them all. Hoorah! Do svidaniya, etc. There are several different game modes for both single, co-op and multiplayer for up to 5 players per side. These will be familiar to anyone who's played an online multiplayer before. Escort is a VIP-style mode where you have to protect one of your squad against enemy forces. Uplink is a control point hacking game, and so on. I suspect the most popular mode, at least initially, will be Hunt, in which you can play either cooperatively or solo against a user-defined number of AI bots in any of the levels, from 4 up to an impressive, if unmanageable, 128. Also impressive is the fact that the game is cross-play with the Rift and other PCVR versions. There are a considerable number of weapons and gadgets in the game, all of which have been well modelled and which require a bit more than a button press to reload. It's not hot dogs and horseshoes levels of realism, but it's convincing, and you have to practice to be quick at it, or even do it at all, with the different weapons. You can also kit the weapons out with different accessories to suit your playstyle and make different loadouts. There are suppressors and scopes and foregrips and such to choose from. The variety on display here is considerable. That's where more or less any praise I have for the game evaporates. Nearly everything else about it is unfinished, shoddy, and broken. Let's start with the graphics. I'm not the sort of person to beat up on something just because it isn't cutting edge. We all know that VR, and in particular the Quest, has limits. It doesn't stop the likes of Sirento and Tethered and Arizona Sunshine rising above. It's all in how it's handled. Everything about the Quest version of Onward feels like a PC version that has been forced gracelessly and ineptly to run on less powerful hardware. The texture work is dreadful, genuinely reminding me at times of the worst of the original PlayStation. Polygon models are basic and they change shape, warp and pop in as you get closer to them. Palm trees look like the sort of toilet roll papercraft affairs my son brings back from primary school. Weapons fire looks feeble and flat. Little flashes of white fondant with no impact. Enemy combatants are spindly, simple and almost impossible to spot amongst the shoddy texture work and pop-in, rendering tactical play almost impossible at times. They are also poorly and basically animated, and close-up are actually missing even flat polygons, which makes them partially see-through. Fellow players look comically bizarre and idiotic, drifting around and moonwalking like Michael Jackson's Ghost. Stylized and retooled visuals should have been the order of the day here, not this awful mash of 1998-style graphical blunders. Unfortunately, the technical problems aren't limited to the game's presentation. Bullets seem to pass through solid walls and objects, making it impossible to use cover effectively. On the Call of Duty 4-style tanker level, for example, there's the opposite problem. There are no graphical effects to convey window glass, but bullets won't pass through at all. Some objects, as well as looking like the work of an enthusiastic nursery school class, also seem to have even simpler hitboxes, meaning bullets don't pass through them for those headshots like they should, and get stuck with bullet hole decals floating in mid-air. Again, the problem of directional sound rears its oafish head. There's not enough positional audio to play the game properly. Footsteps and bullets should be trackable to a keen ear, or your milsim tag is worthless. on the subject of bad sound, what is the ridiculous effect for the dying bad sods about? I thought we were meant to be taking this as seriously as Tom Clancy, not play-acting zombie death rattles for laughs. The game starts by making you set your height, dominant hand and turning method, with a grim caveat that it thinks you should be turning your actual body, not using the controller to do so. Fair enough, except that the rest of the game doesn't seem to be tuned to that ethos. The loading screens appear too low and the menus rarely seem to orient themselves relative to the player, so you have to conform to where the game thinks you should be standing and looking. Even just basic functionality has been badly thought through. Make a custom server and you have to abandon it and start another one if you want to change the level. The tent which acts as the main hub for loadouts and readying up seems not to have been designed for VR, even though to my knowledge Onward has never been a pancake game. It's also pretty appalling from the get-go that there are times moving between menus and loading screens where it seems to make the Quest headset hang briefly, leading to the sort of frozen screens with a black outline that can make you feel instantly queasy. How it passed Oculus certification in this state is a matter of some astonishment. There are probably a battalion of people who own those nifty rifle holder accessories for their touch controllers who are going to be baying for my blood on Reddit for this review, but honestly chaps, save your money. There are far better experiences available on SideQuest for free than this woeful display of technical ineptitude. It serves as a textbook example of how not to convert a game for its target hardware. There are moments when you're creeping forward with some friends, checking those corners, acting as a team, where there are glimmers of the game it should be. But these are swamped by all the mistakes and deficiencies present, and it's just not good enough for a commercial release in 2020, VR or no. It actually scores an extra point for being fun with friends, but this is true of nearly any multiplayer game, appalling or no. Onward is a technically inept and deeply flawed attempt to bring a serious military shooter to the Quest. Its dated and hideous graphics, technical problems and generally unfinished feel makes it impossible to recommend, particularly when far slicker and better games are available on SideQuest for the price of nothing. Overall, 3.5. Misfire.